Leonor's father gave her his own medal, and couldn't hold back tears. What would you do if your father handed you something that once belonged to him, something carrying years of sacrifice, duty, and memories? Now imagine that father is a king, and the daughter standing in front of him is not just his little girl anymore, but the future queen of an entire country. That was the emotional moment that left people watching Princess Leonor completely stunned. Because as King Felipe VI looked at his daughter, there was something in his expression that seemed to say more than words ever could. This wasn't just another ceremony. This was a moment of transition. A moment where a father seemed to realize that the little girl he once watched grow up was now stepping deeper into the responsibilities that would one day define her life. And then came the gesture that made the moment even more emotional. King Felipe presented Leonor with a medal connected to his own journey and service. But what happened next was impossible to ignore. The atmosphere suddenly felt different. For a brief moment, the formal ceremony seemed to disappear. There was just a father and his daughter. And as emotions appeared to overwhelm him, King Felipe struggled to hold back his tears. Think about that. A king, surrounded by ceremony, tradition, and the weight of the Spanish crown. Yet in that moment, he looked less like a monarch, and more like a proud father watching his daughter take another major step into the future. And for Leonor, the significance of receiving that medal went far beyond the object itself. It represented something much bigger. A legacy, a responsibility, and perhaps, a quiet reminder of what lies ahead. Because Princess Leonor's path is unlike that of most young women her age. Every new milestone she reaches is watched closely. Every uniform she wears, every ceremony she attends, every responsibility she accepts. It all forms part of the journey toward a future that has already been written for her. One day, she is expected to become Queen of Spain. But on this day, standing before her father, she wasn't simply the future queen, she was his daughter. And maybe that's why the moment felt so powerful. Because behind all the titles, behind the palace walls, and behind the centuries of royal tradition, there is still a father who knows that his daughter is growing up. And perhaps, deep down, he knows that the road ahead won't always be easy. The medal may have been placed in Leonor's hands, but the emotion in her father's eyes told a much deeper story. It was pride. It was love. And maybe even a little sadness, because every parent eventually reaches that moment when they have to watch their child step forward into a world of greater responsibility. For Leonor, this was another step toward her destiny. For King Felipe, it may have been one of those rare moments when the king briefly disappeared, and the father came through. And that is what makes this moment so unforgettable. Because sometimes, the most powerful royal moments aren't about crowns or grand speeches. Sometimes, they're about a father looking at his daughter, realizing just how far she's come, and struggling to hold back the tears.